Ready to create a little magic on your cards? How about introducing your cards to craft foam? This is a great way to add amazing dimension and texture to a card. I'm going to teach you how. Hello everybody, I'm Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. Welcome to another Tuesday tip video. I think you guys are going to love these creative cards featuring craft foam and all the fun ways we can use it. Let's go get started. I absolutely love the look that craft foam gives to a card. It really wows people, and it goes through a die cutting machine like butter. We're going to start with our Hello card. This one, we're going to feature the Simply Zinnia stamp set and a fantastic die set called Thoughtful Moments Hybrid. So not only do we have die cutting, but it will emboss as well. You're going to love the magic of this card. And before I share the measurements, I want to make sure that you know there is a free download that goes along with today's video. So you'll have the supply list, the measurements for my cards, photos, everything that you need. And if you're in the United States, you can order any of the supplies from me right here by just clicking this image. Friends, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I would appreciate your support. So with that, let's talk about the supplies we need for our Hello card. I have a Berry Burst card base that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have 2 pieces of Daffodil Delight, 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. 2 pieces of Basic White. Those are 3 3/4 by 5. I've got, really, this is a scrap. It's about a 2 by 2 Granny Apple Green. And boy, you want to talk about a scrap. How about this little bitty Berry Burst 1 by 1? That's going to be creating our zinnia here. And of course, we need craft foam. So friends, this can be found at a lot of discount stores, craft stores. This is just that thin foam. It's very inexpensive. And in fact, look at this great combo that I found. I found this at a local Hobby Lobby, $6. So I've got so many colors to choose from. And of course, I was so thrilled. So many of these colors match my Stampin' Up! Cardstock. I want to show you how easy it is to cut this craft foam with your paper trimmer. It is super easy. So this was a 2 by 3.5. So I'm going to line that up at 2 inches. Are you ready? Score through. You're going to pull it out and go, oh no, it didn't work. Ready? Magic, right? Just like that. And then you can cut again. And that is just how easy it is to cut craft foam with your paper trimmer. I'll tell you what, we're going to start with the magic of the craft foam because our technique, you see, we're going to color it. I'm starting with just a white piece of craft foam, and we're going to add a little color to that. I'm going to take the hybrid folder. I want to go ahead and open that. And then, of course, you can see here is the matching die. There's a lot of other little fun dies in this one as well. But you're going to love this. We're just simply going to lay our die. It's going to kind of lock here on the left-hand side. I'm going to take that craft foam and put it right over the word hello. All right, we're going to close that up and we're ready to run this through our die cutting machine. Now, guess what? When you're working with craft foam, the sandwich for your die cutting machine is going to be exactly the same. As it goes through your machine, this craft foam is going to squish. So it'll go through. We're not going to do any harm to your machine at all. So let's bring in our machine. We're going to bring in base plate 1. I'm going to bring in my folder. You want to make sure that the fold of your folder is going to be what's going into the machine. Top it with embossing plate 4 and let's run it through. And let's see what we have. Oh my gosh, look at that. And can you see it's kind of nice, it's thick, and it gives just really great texture. Now, we do want to go ahead and add our color to this now because it's going to need a little drying time. So I'm going to bring in a Berry Burst ink pad, and I have got a sponge dauber. That's what I'm going to use on this one. Now, I've got just a piece of scratch paper underneath me. Use your grid paper, scratch paper. And what I want to do is just kind of tap my sponge dauber here on the word hello. And you can see that we actually want to go kind of dark. because we've got a little technique that we also have to do to this, to color, we're gonna have to rub some of this color off, all right? Because the craft foam isn't necessarily gonna wanna hold all of this ink, but I'd rather go a little darker and get that lighter color that I need. So we'll get that all inked up, and now I'll show you that technique. And it's as simple as this. We're gonna flip that over, and I'm just gonna kind of rub it, each letter here. I'm gonna rub it, kind of giving it a little back rub here on my copy paper. Kind of having a hard time holding on to it for some reason, but here we go, there we go. And we just wanna kind of remove some of this ink. Let me kind of bring it back over here to the white. You'll see it's still gonna be pulling stuff off. And that is normal. And remember, we're gonna let this have some drying time as well. So let's flip it over and see what we've got. See, now we're getting that lighter color I talked about. I can see I've got a little bit more there. Yeah, any place that you feel like it's still a little dark, you're just simply going to rub it there on your paper. All right, I'm gonna let that dry, and we're gonna keep working on our card. Let's create this fabulous zinnia. Now guys, I've shared this on my Tuesday tips before. I love to conserve my cardstock. I'm gonna bring in the Simply Zinnia die set, and I'm gonna take these 3 dies right here, and we're gonna die cut that from this piece of Daffodil Delight. And you know what we're gonna do with that? We're gonna use it as a layer on our card. No one will see what we're about to die cut. And since we're die cutting, let's go ahead and bring in these pieces. So I've got just a little center of berry burst for my zinnia. And then we have the leaf. Now I'm gonna need 2 of these. So you're gonna wanna make sure you get 2 of those. Let me run all of this through our die cutting machine, and I'll show you how to create your zinnia. Now the sandwich for this one's a little bit different. So we have base plate 1, cutting plate adapter 2, cutting plate 3. Now we'll get our flowers here. I'll get one of my leaves there, and of course the center to my zinnia. Top it with plate 3. Let's run this through. We have everything die cut. So now let's take our zinnia piece. I've got one of those basic whites, and like magic, we're gonna hide that. Now we're ready to add this to the front of our card. I do love this technique where I can hide what I've die cut, and it's a great way to kind of use your layers, conserve your cardstock. All right, let's create a zinnia. So I do want to take the 2 more flower images. I'm going to come back in with that sponge dauber. Now I want this to be kind of light, and I'm just going to tap some berry burst there just in the center of the zinnia. I want to just barely get those leaves. This is going to give some great dimension to that flower. I'm going to take the first one. I'll add just a little bit of multi-purpose glue. Let's add that to our base. Now for this one, I'm actually going to bring in a Stampin' Dimensional. So we'll add that right there. And now we can add our top flower. Now when you do this, you want to you're going to have to kind of play a little bit and rotate that flower until you figure out exactly how it should go on. There we go. We just want to make sure all the petals are kind of ski-wampus. Now we're going to take the center, and we'll add just a little bit of glue right there. And isn't that gorgeous? Do you see how that sponge dauber on the zinnia just really made it look really realistic? I love that. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my card base, and I'm going to add plenty of glue to the back. I'm going to add my zinnia here. And now, honestly, I just found it easier to just kind of tuck my leaves in. They'll grab that glue. And we'll do one maybe here, and our other one about right there. I can come in and add just a little dot of glue underneath. All right, it's time to add our hello. I'm just gonna flip that over, back in with my multi-purpose glue. And I just found it best to just kind of add some little dots. We don't want it to ooze out, so that's why I kind of prefer dots over strings of or strands of the multi-purpose glue. And we can now add this to our card. Keep in mind, this is very flexible. So we'll add that right there. When you're happy with it, give that a press. I'm going to take this, I'm going to fold it over to a clean side and give it just a little back rub. This will maybe get off any of that last ink that I may have missed. Now, we got to add a little bling, right? Because we love the bling. So how about these purple shimmer gems? I love these, and I love anything with the shimmer, but I think this purple really went quite well with my berry burst. So add that wherever you wish. I've got my last piece of basic white and daffodil delight, and this is the one we're going to write our message on. So my tip to you is never do any die cutting from the back of the cardstock you're going to write your message on. It can just cause, when you're writing, your pen can skip, things like that. So whenever I'm going to do this technique, I want it on the front because we're not doing anything to the front. And like I said, the recipient will not know. We're going to add that right there. And friends, we have one fantastic card. Don't forget about that free download that I have for you. So when you're ready to recreate the cards, you'll have everything that you need right here. You'll find this at simplysimplestamping.com, or if you look down in the YouTube description, I have a direct link to today's post. All right, let's move on to our second card. And I've got some more techniques to share with you. So you can see this one says thanks. This is my craft foam. I've also got another thanks here on the inside that is not craft foam. It is cardstock, again, because we want our card to fold nicely. We're going to be using the eyelet embossing folder and doing a fun little technique. So here we go. I've got my card base here, pretty in pink. This is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. The measurements for the card are the same, but this time I'm using basic black, 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and of course the basic white, 3 3/4 by 5. And this time for my craft foam, I've got some black craft foam, and it is a 1 by 3.5. So for this one, we're using the Thanks and Beyond die set. Now, it has some great butterflies, and I hope that you guys can see how beautiful this butterfly would be with that black craft foam with maybe a calypso coral or daffodil delight behind it. So yeah, we need to keep that in mind. But we're going to use just the Thanks today. This will go through your die cutting machine in the exact same way, all right? We're not doing any coloring to this one, so we can do this at any time. I'm going to go ahead and run this through. And just like before, it really goes through super easy. You know, all right, I have that die cut, and I want to throw out something. I probably should have mentioned it before. If you see the craft foam that has adhesive on the back, I gotta tell you, it's not something I suggest. It's not quite strong enough. It's a very weak adhesive. I prefer to go ahead and use the multi-purpose glue. Now, I gotta tell you, it's not like I've used every craft foam out there, but the ones that I purchased, I was not terribly thrilled with the adhesive on the back. So let's go ahead. We're gonna move on now, and let me show you the technique for this background. I've got the eyelet embossing folder. I'm going to take one of the basic whites. I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. And for that, we need plate 1, our embossing folder with our cardstock, and embossing plate 4. And we get a beautiful piece of cardstock, but it needs something. I'm going to bring in just some scratch paper here, and I've got 3 ink pads. We have Fresh Freesia, Bubble Bath, and Pretty in Pink. I'm going to start with my lightest color, and by the way, this could be any 3 shades. I'm going to go with pinks, but have some fun with this, especially when you bring in the black on any color. You're going to love it. We're going to use blending brushes. So I'm going to start here with that bubble bath. Let me get some of that off. I don't want it to be really dark. And I'm just going to, you notice I'm just kind of swirling on some color in circles. All right. We don't have to go crazy because we're going to be adding a couple more colors. So I think that looks good. Now let's come in with the Pretty in Pink. And honestly, I really don't need to bring in another blending brush because this one had a lighter pink on it. And we'll come right next to that.
And this is going to give us just a different shade of pink. And our last color, Fresh Freesia. This is going to bring in just a little bit of a purpley pink. I've got a new blending brush for this one. And I'm going to come in and fill in anything that has a little bit of white left. But do you love this color? It just is such a beautiful color combination. We're going to adhere this over a piece of basic black, but you guys know I love to use my layers. So let's bring that thanks in one more time. I'm going to die cut from here at the bottom. So now I have a cardstock thanks. That'll be for the inside of my card. We're going to cover that up with our beautiful eyelet, and we'll adhere that to the front of our card base. I've taken my remaining black and white. That'll go here on the inside of my card. All right, we have got a craft foam thanks, and we have a cardstock thanks. Our cardstock thanks will go right here inside of the card. Just like before, we'll just add some small dots of our multi-purpose glue. And we'll add that there on the inside of the card. Now we're ready to add our craft foam thanks. I'm going to do the same thing, just some dots of multi-purpose glue here on the back. And we'll add that to the front of our card. The last thing we're going to do is add just a simple basic black baker's twine bow just to finish it off. To do that, I'm going to use a mini glue dot. These just seem to work perfect for these tiny little bows. So I'm going to grab that mini glue dot, roll it in just a little ball. We're going to add it to the front of our card. You'll press the center of that bow right on to that mini glue dot. Friends, that is such a bold and fun card. And like I said, your friends are going to go, "What is that? That is so cool." They're not going to know it's craft foam. So for my card, I used words on both of my cards, but guys, this will work with any of your die cuts, all right? I just was in a mood to create with some fantastic word dies, but I could have created this flower and the leaves. I could have done any of that with craft foam. Very easy to do. Remember, guys, craft foam comes in so many different colors. I do tend to stick with black and white because it's just really easy to work with, and I know I can always color it so that my cards match.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you liked that video. If you did, I would love a thumbs up on YouTube. And hey, if you haven't subscribed, it's easy. Click the subscribe button, ring the bell, and then YouTube will let you know whenever I'm back with another video. Thanks again for being here, everybody. Can't wait to stamp with you next time. Bye-bye.